All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's Heroes Connect Military to Manufacturing event. We're excited to be here talking not with just one company, but actually an association and four companies who are actively seeking military talent. These events were designed to help the broader military community better understand and get to know the manufacturing industry. So welcome again. Let me also introduce myself. My name is Katie Bowerman. I'm a senior program manager with the Manufacturing Institute, and I oversee the virtual Heroes Make America Military Skill Bridge Training Program. In addition to these Heroes Connect events and other virtual events that we put on for our transitioning military and veteran community. So today we're featuring, like I said, our association partner SEMI and four of their member companies, Microchip, Applied Materials, Edwards, and Hine Automation. So jam-packed hour with all these companies presenting for you today. So the semiconductor industry is massive, guys, in terms of our daily lives and overall technological advances. I'm so excited to have you all learn more about what semiconductors are, but then also this subsector of the industry and how they could be part of your next career chapter. So before I introduce our first speaker, I want to cover some general participation guidelines. First off, you probably got that notice that the event is being recorded. We're going to send out a recap email after. We're going to have a lot of slides today, so if you miss anything, don't stress. You'll get the recording after the event. You can go back and watch that. So I do ask that everyone stay muted throughout the presentation to minimize background noise, just to make sure that we don't have any of that on the recording. Lastly, I encourage you to be an active participant, though. So utilize the chat feature. Drop in any questions that you have throughout the presentation. The company reps will try and respond in the chat. If not, we're going to come back for a Q&A at the very end. We'll come on and bring all those questions live, okay? So I do want you to be familiar with the chat box. If you can pull it up, you're going to find it on your control panel. It says chat. Open it up. What I want you to do is go ahead and drop in the city and state or the location or the region that you're looking to job search in, so that our companies can look at who is going where. So find that chat box, drop in where you're relocating to, or you're going to be job searching in. Cool. While you guys are doing that, briefly want to highlight the Manufacturing Institute's Heroes Make America Skill Bridge program. So we do have a lot of our current students on this call, but we have other folks, company representatives, military affiliated participants, military spouses, other community members who are joining us today. So for those of you who may not know what Heroes Make America is, we're a DoD approved skill bridge program for transitioning service members, veterans, and military spouses. We provide a variety of certification trainings, as you see here, that go towards the manufacturing and the supply chain industries. Our students learn a variety of topics to include things like safety, quality practices, technical trainings like electrical, mechanical, and pneumatic training. And then we also do some logistics training. Just depends on the location they're training with. So you can see our program managers here, the certifications we offer, and our upcoming class dates. If you do have questions, go ahead and email heroes@nam.org. We're also going to drop in our program manager's contact information so you can connect with any one of us directly. So without further ado, let's move on to the main feature. We've got a lot of folks here talking to you today. So I want to first introduce Tim Brosnihan, Executive Director for SEMI. So Tim, the floor is all yours.
Thanks, Katie. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. As Katie mentioned, I'm Tim Brosnihan. I'm an Executive Director at SEMI. If you don't know SEMI, we are the largest global trade organization representing the microelectronics industry. This is for design and manufacturing of electronics. We have over 2,500 member companies. I've got 4 of them here today. You'll love hearing from them. And with all of our members, finding talent is their #1 problem. And that's standing in the way of their growth, innovation, and that includes standing in the way of U.S. national and economic security. So it's a big deal. Our members have a lot of job openings, over 30,000 job openings across the country. So, who are these companies? And Katie, if you go to the next slide. Yeah, this crazy diagram here shows that we represent all types of companies in the semiconductor industry. There's just a few of the 2,500 shown here, but they're grouped in rings. And we've got material suppliers, software companies, designers, manufacturers, all the way out to system integrators. You probably know the companies in the outer ring. You'll see Tesla, Apple, Google, Amazon. They make the products you use and you buy. But you probably don't know the companies in the inner rings, like who makes the software or the chemicals that the factory uses, or the pumps, or any of the automation in the robots. But they're all important companies, and they're all experiencing workforce shortages. So we've got some reps today from a fab, as well as equipment makers and subcomponent suppliers. So there are jobs everywhere throughout this ecosystem. And as that opening slide said there, it's our member companies need you. So why is that? Why are ex-military vets, why are those people great at semiconductor jobs? And in my mind, it's because there's a lot of similarities. You know, both the military and semiconductor industry rely on very sophisticated, fancy, high-tech equipment. And military personnel are trained to use and operate that expensive special gear. And you guys, you know how to maintain and repair that equipment and make sure everything is working properly. And just frankly, you have to, right? Because you got to take great care. Lives are depending on that equipment working properly. So if you bring those same skills, that same mentality, that same attention to detail, you bring all of that stuff you guys have to a fab, well, that training is equally effective in keeping the fab and all its sophisticated facilities and tools running smoothly. I've hired a lot of vets in my career, and it's always been very comforting to have them there. They do care about the work, and also when problems happen and shit hits the fan, military people know how to, you know, manage these unexpected situations, get things under control. So it's always been very comforting to have a good crew of vets working in the factories and keeping us going. Katie, you can click, yeah, there you go, to the next slide there. Thanks. So why would you want to work in the semiconductor industry? Well, it's a stable choice. Electronics aren't going anywhere. You see them everywhere. It's a high growth industry. And once you're in it, there's a lot of room to learn more stuff and grow and advance. So some really nice career development. I personally like working in the semiconductor industry because everything you see these days runs off electronics. So it's, you know, your phone, your cell phones, your homes, your cars. A car is now basically a computer on wheels. There's so much electronics in it. But it's everything. It's energy, it's medical, it's agriculture. Yeah, agriculture, even farming is now high tech. You got these fancy John Deere tractors with hundreds of thousands of dollars of electronics in them. So semiconductors are everywhere. They enable all of the coolest stuff. And quite simply, we put it on the next slide there. Yeah, without those people on the left there making those chips you see in the middle, then none of us have those things we love. We don't have our Amazon, we don't have our Netflix, our iPhone. But maybe even more importantly, we don't have jet fighters. We don't have aircraft carriers. So absolutely a critical industry for everything, the military, our modern lives, you name it. Next slide. Great. So how many jobs are out there? I get asked. I mentioned it's right now, I think the current estimate is 32,000 job openings in semiconductor. That's fantastic. Where are those jobs? And the answer is shown in this map here. They're all across the country. And they're in some nice, really kind of fun spots that you might want to live. So you can see the manufacturing's kind of grouped in several places. You might find them attractive. California, Arizona, Oregon, Florida, up there in the Northeast. And my favorite is Texas, where I'm from. So you can pretty much go around the country as everybody was putting in their locations where they're from. I saw a lot of the Northeast, saw a lot of Georgia, saw some Texas, Florida. You know, we've got you there. And the government's investing heavily to bring more of this infrastructure back to the U.S. A lot of it was offshore. We can't have that. So we need it back here. There's some big growth opportunities in Ohio, New York, Idaho, and there's going to be a lot more to come as they continue to fund this. But I know a lot of military folks like travel. Hey, there's also roles where you get to travel over the world. So some of the equipment suppliers, one you hear from today, you know, they have roles where you have to go around the world and install their tools in various factories, both here and abroad. So a lot of cool stuff there. Someone from Texas signing in. Awesome. Good. And the U.S. government also, we're hearing from private industry today, but the U.S. government also does hire a lot of people for chips research and development. All right. Well, we'll go on. I just like this slide. You know, politicians, they really don't seem to agree on much these days, but the one thing that really makes me happy is Republicans, Democrats, liberals, conservatives, you name it, they're all behind supporting the U.S. semiconductor industry. It's the legislation they are passing to make sure we regain and maintain leadership in this field. It's been declared a national security issue, and it absolutely is. So, our military and our economy can't continue to rely on chips that are made overseas in other countries. We need them here. So we're very grateful to you and the entire military community for keeping us safe. I thank you for your service. You can continue to keep us safe. It's in a different way, certainly, but a domestic electronic industry will keep America safe. So I'll end with this. I get a lot of questions about, does my MOS or MOC fit the microelectronics job? And the answer is absolutely, hell yes. This is a very short list of military skills that map into the semiconductor roles. These are really the more technical ones, just because I'm a tech guy. Engineering, mechanical training, boom. You got that in the military, direct fit into engineering or technician roles for repairing, maintaining equipment. There's tons of tech jobs out there. You'll need some new training, absolutely, for sure. But these companies, they'll provide that training. And you've already shown you can handle much tougher training. So you've got this, no problems for that. And the salaries are good, very good for technician jobs, and they're even better for engineering roles. So I think what's more important, though, is just the attributes you bring from your military training into a civilian career, following process and procedures. Teamwork, so important. Leadership, understanding the mission, problem solving, you're all good at that. Those make you super valuable employees. So you don't actually need a degree in engineering either. There are openings in logistics, supply chain, human resources, sales, you name it, communication. So we'd love to have you in the semiconductor industry. You won't have to take my word for it. We'll pass it over to the people who actually own the factories and the equipment companies. So thanks a lot, Katie.
Awesome. Thanks, Tim. So what we're going to go ahead and do next, we're going to pass it on over to our first company. We've got Samantha Baumgartner here today talking to you about Microchip. So Samantha, the floor is all yours.
Awesome. Well, hi, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for all of your service. We are excited to speak with you today about Microchip. As Katie mentioned, my name is Samantha. I work within the HR department at Microchip in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Go ahead, Katie. So do these items look familiar to you? I know Tim touched on it a little bit, but everything has microchips in them, whether that be your home or technology up in space. This is what we call job security. Microchip manages their business smart. So no one customer has more than 3 to 5% of our revenue. We have our hands in every market, and that is what makes us successful. This includes aerospace and defense. We actually have some chips on the Mars rover. We're partnered a lot with NASA as well. When one industry declines, we don't feel that burden and that impact because of how we manage our business. Microchip was founded in 1989. We are headquartered in Chandler, Arizona. We have 3 sites that make our microchips, and that's in Tempe, Arizona, Gresham, Oregon, and Colorado Springs, Colorado. Each of these sites houses anywhere from 800 to 1,200 employees, all doing different things. But that's not all. We are everywhere. We're all over the globe. So I know a lot of times with military, you get stationed in these different locations and maybe you want to work there. We have locations all over the place. If it's not production based, we're looking at sales, we're looking at marketing, engineering, R&D, logistics. In total, we have over 22,000 employees worldwide. What really drives Microchip is our culture. And not to go into all of these values, but we have 11 guiding values that shape who we are. And culture is really critical to what we do. It ties in to how we work and who we hire. So you will clearly see how important culture it is to us if we get forward in the process and talking with you about any of our open positions. We much rather hire someone that reflects these values and train on the skills they're lacking than the opposite. We are also a no layoff culture, and this is only possible because of the smart business management that Microchip has. We have some really amazing benefits, and I don't want to spend the whole time going over these, but just to highlight what everyone seems to like the most, we do have a free on-site health clinic. That's free healthcare for all of our employees and anyone on their plan 18 and older. We have a 24/7 gym on site. We give everyone company stock. They have a piece of the pie, and that's even our very entry-level production roles. We do quarterly bonuses. We actually are paying out 50 to 60% above our target target for the last 6 or so quarters. So it's a good time to get in the industry. We have paid volunteer time, and no matter what role you would start in, you have at least 3 weeks of paid time off per year. We are very big on employees' growth to their skill set and their education. So we have many partnerships with educational institutes where we actually have 100% paid tuition for our employees. And all of our benefits start day one. Recently for Colorado Springs, we had a really big announcement. We foresee some more coming up for our other locations too. We are investing close to $900 million into our site here in Colorado to expand our capabilities, to upgrade our tools, to add jobs. And this big push is a lot for the green aspects of products that you see every day, your electric cars, your solar panels, and a lot more. And it takes all types to do what we do. We have positions that match your military experience at any level, whether it's entry-level production, those technical roles, engineering, management, logistics, we have it all. But enough for me. I want you to hear directly from a military veteran here at Microchip. So I'm going to turn this over to Mike Egan.
How you guys doing? I'm Mike Egan. I just want to give you the insight of a veteran working here at Microchip. I am a senior equipment engineering manager right now. Some background on myself. I was born here in Colorado Springs, where our site is located. Went to Pikes Peak Community College. Decided that I really wanted to serve in the military. So after getting my associates, I joined the Air Force. Served in the maintenance group and munitions for about 5 years. Traveled the world, and then I came back to Colorado. Using the GI Bill, got my bachelor's in electrical engineering. And then I went on to get a job here at Microchip that was formerly known as Atmel. That was in 2012. From there, I was promoted in 2017 to a equipment engineering manager and have been here since. My goal here is to make you veterans and the ones that are getting out of the military feel more comfortable. Transitioning from the military to civilian life is pretty scary. I won't lie. My first year out, I was kind of confused there. I had these goals of being an electrical engineer and wasn't sure if I made the right choice. Well, since then, and since getting a job here at Microchip, I did make the right choice. What I was looking for really is you have that family within the military. And I didn't realize that's what I was still seeking. So when I came here to Microchip, right now we have 892 employees. Like the culture that Samantha was talking about, it's a very tight-knit community here. We're taught to treat people with respect, from all the way up. And because of that, it's made a very relaxed family feeling here at the site. And as you can see here, we have 10% of the employees are veterans here in Colorado Springs. In the field that I work in, the equipment engineering group has 18% are veterans. And just that connection there with other veterans has, made me a lot more comfortable here at this site. And then there was that other part of me that, I had that sense of, purpose in the military. I was serving, to protect and things like that. So when I got here, I was lost on that part of it, and I was working with a fellow employee here, kind of asking questions of, we make these electronic chips and everything, but what do they actually do? I mean, who do we sell these to? And we go from there. And this guy, he was really passionate about what he was doing. He was actually an operator on the assembly line making these chips. And he told me, well, these chips that we're making here are for all your smart functions, control all your smart functions in your new cars these days. And that includes your airbags, your, automatic stop and things like that to protect, all these families, our kids and things like that. And from that day forward, I had that sense, of purpose again. It's okay. This is good. And then we went through the COVID time period, and we had medical devices that we were being asked for. We need to get these chips out right now to, for these medical devices that are testing for COVID and trying to keep people safe. And It's just it's an awesome place to work at. You got an opportunity to lead, and from your background as a veteran, you're trained to lead. You just don't even realize it. Even if you don't think you're a leader because you come in here and you'll start wanting to improve things and stuff like that. But you have an opportunity to grow. Like you can see that I started out as an equipment engineer, but I have operators that grew all the way up. They came in as technicians and they became engineers. So that's another opportunity here is you have a big opportunity to grow within this company. And we're looking for technicians, we're looking for engineers, operators, all the above, and the pay is good. Colorado is excellent to live in. But you have that family here. I think that's the biggest thing here. And then, you're looking at, well, I had this criteria to follow in my position in the military, and we have the same thing in maintenance. We have preventive maintenance. So we have, a structure to follow, steps to follow on fixing machines that make these chips. But then you have the opportunity to improve things, make things better. I think that's the big thing about Microchip, and everyone knows you by your name. You're not just a number here. So that brings a whole family thing together. So that's all I have for Microchip. Thank you.
All right, and we do have some contact information up here, but it's also going to be dropped in the chat. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, thank you, Microchip. We're going to come on to the next one. We've got Curtis with Applied Materials. So Curtis, let me go ahead and get your picture up. All right, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Thank you, Katie. Welcome, everyone. Yes, Curtis Giro with Applied Materials. I am the manager of U.S. military recruiting programs here. And the first slide here, I'll just call your attention to it. This is our corporate headquarters out in Silicon Valley. So some of our new hires out there in front of the building. But most importantly, I wanted to put out there the accolades over the years. So you can see we're military friendly, best for vets. Really have a history of bringing veterans into our company in the industry for the last 40 plus years. So part of that's just a natural progression. Part of it's by design. That's why I'm here. But one of the really point out our accolades there, and that we continue to be military and vet friendly. So next slide, please. So a little bit about me. So you know who's in front of you. You heard, I run our military recruiting program. I'm also still serving. I know I got a beard right now, but I am a reservist right now on the Navy side. Most importantly, though, in the lower left there, you'll see the Marine Corps time. So started off as a young enlisted Marine, and I did avionics. So as a maintainer, made that transition 20 plus years ago, and actually came into the semiconductor industry. So I have a long breadth of experience in the industry, not just HR and recruiting, but I touched equipment. This is a great industry. It really set me on the right path. I did go to school at night, switched over to HR, but it's an industry that lends itself well to the military. And I found myself making that transition like many of you are and came into this industry. So next slide, please. What about Applied Materials, right? Who are we? Most people have never heard of this company. Best quote I've ever heard about Applied Materials: it's the most important American company you've never heard of. And you can see it's the world's #1 semiconductor and display equipment company, Fortune 500, founded in 1967 out in Silicon Valley. It's the corporate headquarters, so out by San Francisco. And you can see, 27,000 plus employees in 19 countries, but we're an American company. I think that's a great thing. You're going to find our industry is very diverse, very global, but Applied Materials is an American company, and they build equipment here in the United States, mainly out in Texas and a few other locations. But these are kind of the quick FAQs about, who we are, what we do. Pictures of the equipment here. So to put it in layman's terms, we build the manufacturing equipment that other companies use to actually build that chip. So some great examples here. I really like this bottom photo. The lower left, you can see these employees next to the equipment. Kind of gives you a sense of scale, how big some of this equipment is. So some of it's the size of a desk. As you can see, some of it's humongous, right? And this is all to make something the size of a penny that's going to go in your phone or car. So next slide, please. Some more examples of the technology, the equipment that you'd find out there. So it takes a lot of different types of engineering pieces of equipment to pull this off. This is the most complicated manufacturing process in the world when we start talking about semiconductors and how to build them. So these are some, again, great examples of what you would find out there when you go out to these sites across the United States and the globe to figure out how this chip's actually made. So just some visual perspective here on what you might see. More pertinent to you though, right? When and where, or what are we recruiting for when it comes to the military? So the upper right there, you'll see the map of the US. These blue states, those are typical states where Applied Materials has a very strong footprint. You'll find lots of locations and opportunities there. Over on the left, you'll see a little bit more about what types of roles we look for. Being a big Fortune 500, we have a little bit of everything. You can imagine, from HR to finance, and then of course, a lot of engineering. We do have a very strong presence within our field service organization with veterans. So anyone that has electrical, mechanical, maintenance, troubleshooting background, we see a strong connection there, and we do get a lot of transitioning military pulled into those fields. I know you heard a lot about growth. I want to reiterate that. This is an industry that's going to double in the next 7 years. That's the projection. So as you see this growth chart over the last really 40, 50 years, we are doubling in the next 7 years. What's that mean for you? You would be joining an industry where there's going to be tremendous opportunity for promotions and growth. And it's not just within the next 5 years, it's 10, 20, 30, 40 years. This is an industry where you could really have it. If you're retired out of the military, for example, you could go do another 20, 30 years easily in this industry, given the growth projection. Next slide, please. All right, a little bit more about the culture in Applied Materials. Next slide. So I wanted to, give you a sense of who we are as a company beyond the military. Applied Materials is really recognized as a global leader in many areas. Going green, becoming sustainable, most admired world company, best place to work, equity and equality. Even our partners in the industry, they constantly recognize us for our excellence and working with them to achieve what they need to achieve. So we see a lot of accolades. We're always striving to kind of be the best here at Applied Materials in all the different parts of the company. And these are some of the things we do. You can see, again, along those accolades, the different areas that we kind of work in outside of manufacturing, going green, fight against hunger, generation growth, a lot of STEM projects, again, to help pull people in this industry and build the future of the engineering world. We have a strong culture of inclusion. I really want to call it the top left. We have an employee resource group. So when you do come into the company, you're going to find a lot of vet ERG, we call them, at various sites. You're joining over 1,000+ veterans in the company, from our newest hire right up to our executive level. So we do a lot of things around Memorial Day, Veterans Day. In this picture, you're going to see our challenge coin there. So every Veterans Day, we do an annual challenge coin. It changes every year. So a lot of our veterans really get into that, something that's handed out. So a lot of opportunity to really engage, create that network, and find the other veterans in the company and give back to that veteran community, help others come into this company too. Benefits and perks. I know you've heard this. I won't spend too much time here. I really stress this for anyone who's transitioning, has yet to work in the civilian world. All things are not equal. So even if you have two opportunities that pay the same, what may vary differently is the benefits that you see company to company. So as a piece of advice, I really tell folks to take a look at this, understand a 401k. Two companies may offer a 401k, but it may vary greatly on whether they match it or not, or if they have a bonus program. So just a word of advice as you look at opportunities, definitely dive into the benefits information. It takes a little bit of homework, but it's critical to understanding the opportunities that are in front of you. All right, last but not least, how do you find our opportunities? Of course, we have the website. Everything's posted there. It's real time. What you see posted are real jobs. More importantly, you're going to see in the middle there my contact information. And then also my counterpart here, Mardo. He's a retired Master Sergeant out of the Marine Corps, 26 years of service. Both of us love to get emails. That's what we're here for. Yeah, I get paid to talk to you. It's a dream job, right? So reach out to me. Questions, anything, just general guidance. I'm happy to answer emails and explain more about Applied Materials, semiconductor industry. It's a great opportunity, lots of growth. All right, thank you. Appreciate everyone's time.
Thank you, Curtis. We're going to go ahead and move on to our next speaker. So that was Applied Material. We're going to move on to Edwards. So I do have two folks that are joining us. Let me go ahead and get Bill on here. So we've got Bill and Eugene talking about Edwards. So I will pass it on over.
Go for it, Bill.
All right. Hey, everyone. We're Edwards Vacuum. We are a supporting company. We support all these tool vendors up in the fab. We're an environmental company. We help the process of making these computer chips and making them environmentally friendly, whether it's the harsh gases that are used to actually create the chip. Next slide, please. A little bit about myself. I'm on the upper left there. I was a 11 Bravo infantryman back in from 2013 through 2016. Started interviewing with Edwards while I was deployed in Afghanistan. Came on the day after my ETS. I left the Army February 1st. I joined Edwards February 2nd and started training as a field service engineer. That's just a floor tech. It's entry-level position. Yeah, I think several other vendors mentioned about leadership, and that's something that you have out of the military. It's something that set me apart from my peers within the company. I was quickly promoted to a team leader. Now I hold one of the one of the highest technical roles for our products for Edwards Vacuum. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Hey, everyone. My name is Eugene Choi. That's me there at the bottom. I served in the United States Army from 1998 to 2004 as a military intelligence officer. My duty locations include Germany, Kuwait, Kosovo, and Iraq. Now I am a sales director here at Edwards, having spent 5.5 years with the company. And the qualities that we live and breathe in the military of duty, honor, integrity, align very well with Edwards' values. And that is very much the reason why we have such a high military veteran presence in the North American customer center of over 20%. The maturity, the discipline, the get it done spirit that veterans exhibit will take you very far, not only at Edwards, but in life as well. Next slide, please. So Edwards is part of a larger company called the Atlas Copco Group, which is based out of Sweden, but they're very much a global organization with 150 years of innovation and very much a global customer base with tens of thousands of employees around the world. Next slide, please. And the esprit de corps that we have here at Edwards as a company is real and compelling. I mean, Edwards employees, and Bill can attest to this too, are given a wide berth to be very much proactive and drive projects through our initiative and proactiveness as veterans, and is something that really enables us to have a great platform to build success. Next slide, please. So Edwards is everywhere our customers are, which is all around the world. And as you can see here on this map, we have manufacturing, repair centers, innovation centers, customer-facing facilities all around the world. And we're very, can you click the next? Yep. And we're very much proud to say that we are the #1 company in R&D and technology for vacuum and abatement systems, which has, and we've continued to grow over the years. As you can see here, we have just thousands of customers, thousands of employees, a huge service and R&D team to support the growing industry. Next slide. So, I mean, we have spoken about this at great length with a lot of the other folks who have talking about the big market drivers, but in a nutshell, microchips are everywhere, from your refrigerator to your phone to every consumer electronic device you can think of, and this will only continue to grow, which bodes very well for Edwards and the industry as a whole. Next slide, please. And in terms of the product that we specifically provide, We are an indispensable part of the value chain for the semiconductors because what we provide are the vacuum technologies, the chamber solutions, the abatement technologies, which are critical and a key enabler to enable all the semiconductor equipment to even run. Much of what you see in fabs cannot run with our equipment. So these are absolutely a key component of the value chain. Okay, Bill.
Thank you. I'm sure this is all very overwhelming. It's just big tools. I remember when I first started and I don't know, it's a box and I'm not trained for this. So let's break it down a little bit. This is the sub-fab floor. This is the fab floor. The fab floor is where you see like applied materials tools, where the actual computer chips are being manufactured. The subfloor is where our company is. We're the pumps, we're the abatements. We're taking those harsh chemicals, we're breaking them down to be environmentally friendly. We're making this entire process possible. Next slide, please. Diversity. All right, diversity is so huge in Edwards, and don't feel like, you know, I'm an infantryman. I know how to take apart a 240 Bravo and that's it. You know, where do I do that in civilian life? What's great about Edwards is we're extremely diverse, and training is such a huge part of our culture here. So regardless your background, we're going to take everyone in, we're going to bring them up to the standard, and we're going to help you be successful in this company. I've gone from shift work to remote work to traveling all over the globe, working with Edwards Vacuum. And diverse, you know, not looking at my diverse background was huge with my success. Next slide, please. Environmentally friendly. I mean, what better company to work for, especially in today's climate? You know, we're environmentally conscious, and it's something that we monitor 24/7 with all of these major manufacturing companies. And we're very aware of our communities and how we affect the world. And it's a great action to work for, is you know, not enabling innovation while taking care of our planet and being successful. Next slide, please. And community. This is something that's really cool that we get to do. I get to go to high schools, and you know, there's no school for vacuum. There's no school for this. So we get to go out and reach out to our communities and teach them about vacuum, teach them about these jobs and what we do, and spark interest in semiconductor. Next slide. And that's Edwards Vacuum. Thank you, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Eugene. Great to learn about Edwards. And I love how everyone's kind of building off each other, right? All the different components of the semiconductor industry. But last but not least, we do have Hine Automation. So I'm going to invite Scott to come on. The floor is yours.
Hello. First, thank you to the Semi Foundation and the Manufacturing Institute. As a retired Air Force and Air National Guard veteran, I was immediately drawn to the Heroes Connect program and the idea from my experience that the semiconductor industry has excellent career opportunities to offer military veterans. Specifically, my company, Hine Automation, is smaller than some of the companies presenting here before me. Still, many similar small and mid-sized companies also make up the semiconductor industry. In fact, many large companies today, only 20 years ago, were startups built by driven and passionate entrepreneurs. My company, Hine Automation, specializes in designing and delivering wafer handling systems to equipment manufacturers worldwide. Our team of experts, including some veterans shown here, create custom solutions tailored to the brand and goals of our customers. Next slide. What we're looking for at Hine Automation aligns with the military experiences and team members that we're looking for, who recognize the importance of attention to detail, effective team members that can positively impact our company goals, and have the commitment and passion for their contributions to the company. Next slide. Veterans have these and much more. For example, some of you will recognize photos like these. Veterans are adaptable to adverse conditions and locations without fail. As I said, the semiconductors industry is spread worldwide, and employees often seek opportunities to relocate or travel to support these companies. Next slide. However, veterans are comfortable with uncomfortable accommodations. And not that any of you will likely see a tent while working in a career in the semiconductor industry. You still have had experiences working with unusual challenges and finding success. Next slide. My journey is not unique for those who've experienced success in the military and are aligned to values recognized in the military. My path also might be similar to what some of you are considering, including serving on active duty and/or National Guard, while transitioning or working in parallel into a full-time career. Next slide. Now, the opportunities for you in the semiconductor industry include knowing that the core of the industry is related to driving innovation and technology of the future. Many of these opportunities will consist of being on the leading edge of fascinating new technologies being developed and knowing that these products are being delivered to improve the lives of people around the world. Next slide. For Hine, we recognize the importance of culture and employee engagement. Employees today want to be involved in their work, are enthusiastic about their organizations, and have a sense of belonging, and want to be afforded flexibility around schedules and location. In addition, inclusion, respect, and family are most important, not only to veterans, but to everyone. Next slide. Finally, for Hine Automation's brand promise, we provide our customers with performance-driven solutions by focusing on reliability, flexibility, and customization throughout the asset lifecycle, from design concept to production. In this industry, while very large in revenue per year and spread across the globe, it becomes a niche in that many of the same faces you'll see today will remain for decades. So following through on your commitment and personal or brand promise is a key to success. Next slide. That's my last word for this moment, but again, thank you to SEMI and Heroes Connect for allowing me to tell my story and the story of Hine Automation. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Wow, you guys heard from a lot of different folks. So I'm going to ask that all the speakers be spotlighted again. Rachel, if you can help me with that, and so we can go over some questions. So you can see here on this last slide, we heard from SEMI, we heard from Microchip, Applied Materials, Edwards, and Hine Automation. So lots and lots of information that was just thrown at you in the last 43 minutes. So what I'm going to encourage you to do is if you have any questions, start to drop those into the chat box and I will go ahead and read them off. I do have one that was already started in regards to career pages. So each of the companies' career pages, their links were dropped into the chat box. But then Margaret also dropped in information from SEMI. Margaret, do you mind talking a little bit about that career page and that link that you had, that job match that you had dropped in there?
Right. So I'm Margaret Kindling with the SEMI Foundation, and the career portal that we have has an opportunity to, if you can go in there and play around and you can drop in, what you are currently doing, what you did while you served in the military, and it will provide you with information on what you are suited for in this industry. I think that almost all the companies that are presenting here today have a link as well, but you can play around and see what opportunities there are in this industry, and it'll take you to, you can go and visit those companies, not just the ones that are presenting today, but numerous other companies that are really essential to this semiconductor ecosystem.
So thank you, Margaret. So I know it can be very overwhelming to all these companies and where do I go? So that's very helpful. All right, let's see here. What other questions do we have in the chat? This may vary, right, depending on the company, but there is a question regarding timelines, right? So from time of application to first day in onboarding, can each of you speak to a little bit about your timelines? Are we looking at like 30 to 60 days here? Are we looking at 90? Microchip, what do you see at your company?
Yeah, so for us at Microchip, the timeline, usually we try to move fast. So within that first week or two of the job being posted, our managers are actually reviewing resumes themselves directly. And we start right away with that intro call and then getting you on site. So our ideal timeline is usually within 2 or 3 weeks, we try to have the whole process wrapped up.
Quick, you need people.
Yes.
All right. Curtis, how about Applied Materials?
Yeah, I think there's two different timelines. So I think there's the candidate timeline, and I typically tell folks, 90 days, that's where you as a candidate will probably start to get the most traction in understanding what a company may offer, and realistically probably be able to talk and interview. If you're applying more than 90 days out, companies have a hard time sometimes going that far out. For us, once the timeline will change a little bit. Once we contact you and we are doing an interview, it will move pretty quick. I think, like Samantha said, it'll be typically about 4 weeks. So by the time we're engaging you and really doing that process, we would think that, hey, we're getting through this, we're going to make an offer. And within a few weeks after that, you're coming on board and we're starting to get you into training. So there's a few different variables there around timing.
Awesome. Thanks, Curtis. How about Edwards, Bill or Eugene?
Yeah, it's very similar to the other vendors here. We'll post a position. It'll remain open for 10 days. After that, we start our interview process, which usually lasts about a week and a half, and then it's about a 2-week process after that. Keep in mind, you guys can do if you're 6 months out from your ETS date, you could do an early release. That's what I did. I actually interviewed and was hired 6 months prior to getting out of the Army. So that is an option for you.
Thanks, Bill. How about Hine? What's your timeline, Scott?
Yeah, I think what we're finding in the industry right now, especially with some of the younger generations that are moving into these positions, is that communication is the most important. It can be days, it's more likely weeks and not usually months. But what's most important where people feel respected and valued is that there's just open communication during the process. So as long as you have a process within the company that can communicate where you are in the status in the application, we find people and they're happy when we find them.
Awesome. Thank you, Scott. That's a good reminder for my participants. The HR people are not scary. If you have questions, call them. If you're looking at a timeline, you don't know where you're sitting, right? Call them. That is something that is acceptable, I think, at most companies. I did have another question regarding a specific type of a position, and I'm sure this varies at the companies, but it's in terms of quality engineering and types of positions like that. So are there opportunities on the quality side? And then a tag to that is a lot of you probably produce chips or items or products for the military or that have that may need some kind of security clearance, right? So I guess quality engineering is part of the question, but then also if you can also speak to our security clearances needed at your company for any specific types of positions. So any of you want to take that question? I'll leave it open.
Yeah, I'll jump in there. Curtis with Applied Materials. First question, the quality engineers. Yes, definitely have quality engineers. It would obviously depend a little bit on your background education. A lot of these quality engineers are at bachelor's, master's degree level type of roles. We also see folks coming out of the military that may first, through experience, move into those roles. So you may come in as an operations manager first, get some familiarity with manufacturing the equipment. And then once you have that kind of tribal knowledge, move over there. If you're coming in kind of lacking the more formal quality engineering degrees. So that's the first one there. Remind me, what was the second question?
Sorry, I probably should ask them separately.
Right.
Security clearances, is that
Security
something that your company
Yes.
requires?
This is a great question. I get this all the time out on bases and job fairs. Typically in our industry, a security clearance is not required. I know there's a few companies that may do that given what they produce. For Applied Materials, it's not a requirement. We don't have roles that are TS or TSI, poly and all that. Obviously, you're going to go through a background check as you come on board. We want to know that you're not hiding something. But most of these companies are not direct defense contractors. Do we feed that supply chain? Of course, right? Our chips will end up in an F-22. But for us, it's not a situation where we have to have you have a clearance because we have $1 billion contract with DoD. So overall, it's a no, not required.
Awesome. Thanks, Curtis. Any other thoughts for the quality side of the house from any other companies?
I will say for Microchip, we also hire quality technicians. So you don't have to have an engineering degree. Technician's a great place to start. And then we will train you and give you the education to move up within that department. A lot of it is ISO related. So if you have experience with ISO, that really helps on the quality side.
Awesome. Thank you. And for my other companies, I don't want to exclude you, Edwards or Hine.
We offer quality positions. It's definitely in layers. We have floor technicians for quality. We have regional quality engineers, which require more training, but there's opportunity quality all the way up to VP level. So yeah, absolutely, we have quality positions.
Perfect. Awesome.
And we also have quality positions, but I think what I could talk to is just ensuring where candidates are making applications that they highlight that they're, they have an honorable discharge and that they had a security clearance, because going through the process of getting those, it says something about the individual and that they were successful in the military, and that we, obviously companies are looking for that and value on those backgrounds.
Perfect. Good note, Scott. Yeah, means you can pass that background check if you have your security clearance. Definitely. I do have a follow-up question, because some of you had talked about the levels of positions, right? Technicians moving up into engineering. Talk to me about degrees required on applications. I know there may be a split house of maybe hourly workers versus salaried employees, right? So talk to me about, are degrees typically required for your positions, or is that something that your company looks at military experience in lieu of degrees? Who wants to take that?
I'll take that. So we do what's called military equivalent. It means you have equivalent experience that you had in the military. You can go anywhere from an hourly worker and be a technician role and build yourself up into an engineering role. I'm a prime example of that. I don't have a degree. I've held 2 engineering roles now. I'm in a senior engineering role. You get the experience, you get the training that Edwards, our company offers, which helps you fill those roles.
Yeah, I could talk to a little bit about my experience. I came out of the military and went into National Guard and had time to go to school and use my GI benefits. I started to grow and have a family, and at some point I started to focus on career, and I wasn't able to finish my degree, but it didn't keep me from continuing to advance and take on more responsibility. It was about the individual. So if there's passion and commitment and hard work, obviously the sky's the ceiling. But it definitely, education will always help. I definitely believe that, but it doesn't limit you, I think, if you're a hard worker and put the effort forward.
Katie, I'll just add real quick, kind of to piggyback off of what the guys stated, that experience that you guys are getting now and have had translates very well to education for a lot of these roles. So even if the job description says bachelor's degree, if you meet the qualifications and the experience listed, just apply, because that degree may be negotiable.
Awesome. Michael, do you have something to add? I saw you unmuted.
Yeah, I want to add to that. I've had a few technicians myself that were they were Army, Navy. Their backgrounds might not have been extremely technical, but they came in with that mechanic mindset, and they took off. What we do here is for training. We do a lot of on-hand training with senior technicians. You'll be with engineers as well on our machines here, and they kind of, you get like a one-on-one kind of training thing in the fab here, and I have seen probably 90% of the people succeed, coming in with no background in semiconductor, but they had the maintenance, the mechanical background in the military that they didn't realize related to this. We do a lot of electrical, mechanical, pneumatic, things like that. But yeah, I would say just apply. We can even give you a tour of the area and what we work with. But it's not that bad coming in as a new technician as well. So
Awesome. Thank you. And I love those answers because I think we also get some folks who see semiconductors. I mean, I'm not a techie type of person. I'm like, oh, that's not for me, right? So it's good to hear, right? There's a lot of layers and types of positions, background experiences. Bill, you're a perfect example, right? Coming from combat arms and going into a super technical field. So I think that's something to remind our participants is this industry is for everyone, regardless of your background, your skill set. There is something for everyone. Let's see, let me look for another question. Someone also asked about environmental health and safety. What does that look like at your company? And do you have those types of positions?
Yeah, I'm happy to jump on that. First, we definitely have an EHS team. We have about 6 team members here just in Colorado Springs. All semiconductors use a lot of chemicals, a lot of gases. That's a huge part of any aspect of this industry. So we definitely hire even technicians. You don't have to, again, have an engineering degree in it. We even have technician-based roles, but also the engineering roles too.
Edwards does as well. It's a big part of everything that we do here. You're going in, you're working on equipment all the time. So everything gets a EHS assessment. We have EHS on site at every location for Edwards. It's a big part of our culture. It's talked about all the time. We do monthly reviews with EHS. It's, most important thing is that, what we're doing safe. So that's huge with Edwards.
Awesome. I would definitely assume with all the vacuums, right? Environmental safety, very applicable. Definitely it's going to be a role there. I had one question that was directly messaged to me in terms of reservists and how reservists are seen at your company, right? So if I want to continue my service after active duty, I'm going to serve on either guard or reserves. Remind me who on our team here is a reservist and speak to your role. Curtis, yep. Talk to me about how that works for you.
Yeah, that's a great question. I even get that a lot, of course, going out to the bases, right? And they ask my thoughts on just being reserves in particular, regardless of corporate America. I've been deployed. I spent 6 months in South Korea, 2017. So I had to step away from applied materials. Very, very understanding. I think you have to keep in mind, as you see on this call, many of the people that you're working with will be veterans. So there's already a connection there and an understanding of what you may be doing out there in the National Guard or the Reserve. In many ways, they support it because they're kind of living vicariously still through you, right? They served 20 years ago. They get to see you go serve. It's exciting in some ways. The key, though, that I find is communication. So as a reservist National Guard, is that keeping your boss informed. Here's what I need to be doing. Here's when I'm going to be gone. We all know many times, we know months ahead of time when we might have to disappear for 2 weeks. With that said, also a year ago, I disappeared for a month because of the Ukraine. So, and that was pretty short notice. But as soon as I saw an inkling that I might have to go do that, I let my leadership know. And it was understood. Again, this is a world event. They know, they understand. So that communication piece is very, very critical. That usually will smooth over everything, make it very easy. Layering that, you do have a lot of legal protection. Use Sarah. For those that, if you want to Google that, there's federal laws out there protecting you as a reservist. And they're there to kind of support you if there are some challenges, but I've never run into that. It's as long as you're communicating and keeping your boss informed, it's almost always very supported. And like I said, they're living a little bit vicariously through you. They think it's exciting.
Awesome. Thank you, Curtis. Yeah, I think that might be. Oh, Michael, you have something to add?
Yeah, on that note, I've had reservists work for me personally, and we are at Microchip, we're very open to that. Like Curtis said, the communication is the biggest part. We want to be there for you. We want to make this comfortable for you. We don't want this to be an awkward environment, when time comes that you need to serve and do what you need to do. We want to be there to support you. That's our big thing. But you'll get, certain pay for weekends you work, stuff like that. And then we have your spot saved for you when you get back from deployment, things like that. So we're friendly to that. We're open to that. And it's like that family environment that I talked about.
Awesome. Thank you. looks like we're just about out of time. I know there's more questions out there. So what I'm going to encourage you to do is connect with these folks, right? There's a lot of questions out there that are probably specific to each company. So before I let you all go, I want to have one last opportunity for any of the companies. Are there any final words from you all before we wrap up this event today?
I'll just say that, thank you all for your service. This is a very exciting point in your lives, this transition to the civilian world. I remember going through this, and there's a wealth of opportunities out there. I would just say, advise you jump straight in there. Don't be afraid to ask questions, and people are actively looking for the type of values and the type of mentality that we bring as veterans. So really go for those opportunities. The world is your oyster.
Thanks, Eugene. Samantha, do you have something?
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah,
Tim.
sorry, Tim. I'm just going to throw in real quick. Don't be afraid to apply. Don't be afraid to reach out. If you're in the area, just ask for a tour, ask to talk with someone, and we're happy to do that.
Tim, did you have anything final?
Yeah, I just want to thank you all for your service. Really hope to see you in the semiconductor industry. There was one question in the chat from a quote, crusty old conservative combat veteran, question about diversity, equity, inclusion. Semi represents 2,500 member companies. I don't know them all on the first name basis, but a lot of them. And I will say that far and wide, the industry is really trying to be as inclusive and diverse as possible, just welcoming everybody in there. We need the help from everybody. And frankly, I've worked with a very diverse group of employees across my 25 years in the industry, and the industry does benefit from having a lot of diversity, and we strive to have more.
Awesome. Thank you, Tim, for those final notes. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up just because we're 2 minutes over the time. So thank you to our companies who joined us today. Thank you to the participants. Thank you for all for taking this hour. I encourage you, go on these companies' websites, look at the career opportunities, connect with the people here today, right? We put in their contact information in the chat box. They're providing it for a reason. Ask them questions, right? Follow these companies on LinkedIn. While you're at it, follow Heroes Make America. And then also, please join us for future events. We actually have, funny enough, Edwards Vacuum is a sub company of Atlas Copco. We have Atlas Copco next week joining us for our Heroes Connect event. So next week, join us March 8th is today. So March 15th is next week at 3 p.m. We will have Atlas Copco. So thank you all again. If you haven't already filled out the poll, be sure you select your answers on the poll before you head out for today. Other than that, we will see you next time. Thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much, Katie.